Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great day. God bless General Flynn. God bless America. He was set up. He was framed. And what can I tell you? He was set up and framed. And now we have William Barr and Department of Justice drop case against Michael Flynn in wake of internal memo release. The Justice Department on Thursday moved to drop its case against former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, in a stunning development that comes after internal memos were released, raising serious questions about the nature of the investigation that led to Flynn's late 2017 guilty plea of lying to the FBI. The announcement came in a court filing after a considered review of all the facts and circumstances of this case, including newly discovered information, as the department put it. DOJ officials said they concluded that Flynn's interview by the FBI was untethered to and unjustified by the FBI's counterintelligence investigation into Mr. Flynn, and that the interview was conducted without any legitimate investigative basis. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think is the next step? This is exactly what is needed. By the way, D. Lynn, thank you to my super chat. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you for your support. Subscribe also to Bizarro World Goodman. Subscribe also to H.A. Goodman's other channel. And ladies and gentlemen, really quickly, I was published in the Times of Israel today, yes. And share that article. It's fantastic. It's Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be nominee. Share that everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be nominee in 2020. Here is the article. But getting back to Michael Flynn, I just shared it, so there's the article. Later Thursday afternoon, Flynn tweeted a video of his grandson reciting the Pledge of Allegiance along with the message, "And justice for all." Exactly. The federal judge overseeing the case would have to make the final determination to dismiss it. He's not gonna. There's nothing more that could happen if the judge decides to do anything. He'll be pardoned immediately, or the case is already thrown out. So the retired Army Lieutenant General for months has been trying to withdraw his plea, aided by a new attorney aggressively challenging the prosecution's case and conduct. But the case has been plodding through the court system with no resolution ever since his original plea, even amid speculation about whether President Trump himself could extend a pardon. The DOJ move to dismiss the case would appear to put an end to that process. This is something that Sessions would never have done. Gee, I wonder why. Why do you not think Sessions would have done that? Because he's horrendous. Breadcrumbs were being dropped in the days preceding the decision that his case could be reconsidered. Documents unsealed this week by the Department of Justice revealed agents discussed their motivations for interviewing him in the Russia probe, questioning whether they wanted to, quote, get him to lie so he'd be fired or prosecuted, or get him to admit wrongdoing. If you're an FBI agent and you can get somebody to lie knowing that there's no transcript, knowing that there's no way that you could be held accountable for setting up and framing a person, how is that okay? You can entrap somebody as an FBI official, and that's that. The latest DOJ filing noted Flynn's false statement plea pertained to a crime that required a statement, quote, to be not simply false, but materially false with respect to a matter under investigation. The filing showed that the government is not persuaded by the January 24, 2017 interview is not persuaded that the January 24, 2017 interview was conducted with legitimate investigative basis, and therefore does not believe Mr. Flynn's statement was material, even if untrue. This is everything you need, for John Durham to eventually indict people. The intent is there. Todd Rubel! Don't hurt him, AJ. Them guns are blazing in the beer. Thank you so much, Todd Rubel. Todd Rubel, thank you. Thank you, Todd. Greatly appreciated. This is everything, Todd. Everyone here, this is everything we need. This is everything we need to get indictments eventually. You cannot frame and set up people. Sorry, you can't do that. You can't do that in the United States of America. It happens, but you can't do that. That's against the law. That's 18 U.S. Code 371. If you engage, and I wrote about this in the Federalist, and I wrote that President Trump should pardon Michael Flynn in the Federalist. That article is below in the description section. Again, I was just published in the Times of Israel today. Share that article everywhere. Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be Democratic nominee. This is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. This is amazing. It is amazing because the case against President Trump was predicated upon the fact that, well, Michael Flynn lied to the FBI. So because of that, we're going to start this entire Mueller investigation. We're going to start all of this because, we already have an indictment. See, what took place was the following. Now, had President Trump, this is why you cannot abandon friends or people close to you because others want you to. Or I should say, if you know that your friend is a good friend, or if you know that somebody is being set up and framed, you cannot acquiesce. You cannot acquiesce if you're a president. President Trump, initially, he was forced into it, made the worst decision of his presidency to just abandon Flynn. He could have saved, had President Trump not abandoned Michael Flynn, there would never have been a special counsel. They were bluffing. Ladies and gentlemen, they were bluffing. They did not hold the cards. They had no evidence. They would have then said, okay, we're going to go after Flynn for the Logan Act. And then President Trump would have said, okay, what does the Logan Act have to do with Russian interference? And furthermore, I want to know what you're investigating. Because they were trying to hide. See, the way they got Michael Flynn was they hid the true intent of the meeting. They didn't tell Trump that he was under or that his campaign was under investigation. See, this is the thing. They didn't investigate Dianne Feinstein. So Dianne Feinstein had a person engaged in espionage working for another country for over a decade. But they didn't investigate her campaign or her. They investigated President Trump, but they did not tell him. He did not know about Crossfire Hurricane because they set him up and framed him. Because Clinton actually did commit serious crimes. They fabricated, there's no intent, it's fine. Check this out. Comey said there's no intent to owning servers for 4 years, deleting 30,000 emails, and literally finding a way to migrate top secret and special access program intelligence onto servers for 4 years. There's no intent there, but there was intent to lie to 2 FBI officials, Strzok being one of them. Peter Strzok said, "We will stop Trump. We'll stop Trump. Trump needs to lose 1 million to 0. Let's continue. The U.S. Attorney reviewing Flynn's case, Jeff Jensen, recommended dropping the case to Attorney General William Barr last week and formalized the recommendation in a document this week. Through the course of my review, General Flynn's case, I concluded the proper and just course was to dismiss the case. I briefed Attorney General Barr on my findings, advised him on these conclusions, and he agreed. President Trump reacted from the Oval Office just minutes after DOJ filing surfaced. He was an innocent man. Now, in my book, he's an even greater warrior. That's true. He fought the same government that he fought for, and he won. Now, in my book, he's an even greater warrior, Trump said while criticizing the Obama administration officials. He's not wrong. Trump critics declared the decision Thursday. decried the decision. The former FBI director tweeted, "The DOJ has lost its way." Yeah, right. Don't think that don't think that he knows. Don't think that he knows that he's not exactly being investigated. Exactly going to be investigated. Or he's being investigated by John Durham right now. The whole point of the Durham probe is to find out why they did what they did, which we already know. Now we know why. Listen, there are two standards. There are two standards, ladies and gentlemen. The standard with Trump is if anything happens, it's 100% his fault. The standard with Democrats is you need to always look at context and nuance, and you always have to give plausible deniability a go. And you know what? You cannot reach conclusions or jump to conclusions. You certainly can't investigate. Mitchell Smith! Hello, H. A great article. Thank you. Schiff has stated that DOJ's decision doesn't exonerate Flynn, but incriminated AG Barr. Bold statement. He may be a little scared. Mitchell Smith, they always have to oversell. They always have to, in poker, they're like the worst poker players ever, because if you continue to bluff, then you're not gonna believe your opponent has the cards. Mitchell Smith, thank you. If you're constantly playing poker, Mitchell Smith, against somebody, and everybody here, if you're constantly playing poker against somebody who doesn't know how to bluff, you don't always bluff in poker. You pick your chances. You pick your times. Because if they call your hand, you eventually have to have a good hand one of these days. If you're always saying, okay, all in, then you're not. Then that's kind of a hilarious strategy, by the way. But if you're constantly saying, "Okay, I'm all in," then people will start to say, "Nah, no, I'll call your bluff, and I'll go all in also." Then you lose your money very quickly. Mitchell Smith, thank you. Mitchell Smith, thank you. Meanwhile, the DOJ on Wednesday released a mostly unredacted version of former Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein's August 2017 scope memo outlining the authority of then Special Counsel Robert Mueller had for the investigation. The document revealed that for the first time that Mueller's authority went significantly beyond what was known previously. Rosenstein's memo was known to have authorized Mueller to investigate, quote, any links or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the campaign of President Donald Trump, and, quote, any matters that arose or may arise directly from the investigation. Well, any matters that arose or may arise? Really? What does that have to do with the Comey memo? They ain't going with Biden, people. Mitchell Smith, thank you. They ain't going with Biden. They're going with the A-team. They're going with the varsity team. They're going with the All-Pro team, the Pro Bowl team, the All-Star team. They're not going with Biden, people. And now that this took place, they know that Trump is squeezing the vice. It's only a matter of time before Clinton becomes nominee. Because if Michael Flynn is exonerated, eventually down the road, it's, Clinton purchased a dossier. That's interesting. Why? Why do you don't think that that John Durham is asking why Clinton purchased the dossier? Why did they utilize the dossier? What about Peter Strzok saying we'll stop Trump? Is this part of stopping Trump? So before they said, well, there's no evidence that they were trying to stop Trump, they were just thinking of national security. You have to understand, this is predicated upon the belief that national security, ladies and gentlemen, this is predicated. Michael Flynn suffered for close to 4 years because national security to them was the DNC getting hacked by Russia. That is national security. So that's what they stated. Well, we had a counterintelligence investigation. We had a counterintelligence investigation because we needed to find out if President Trump helped helped hack the DNC. He might have done that. And now you have President Obama new details of wiretapped Flynn phone calls surprising top DOJ official in meeting with Biden, declassified documents show. So this is huge. President Obama was aware of the details of then-incoming National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's intercepted December 2016 phone calls with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak, apparently surprising then Attorney General Sally Yates, according to documents released Thursday. Why would that be a surprise? The president can find out anything that goes on in his administration. President Obama personally had warned the Trump administration against hiring Flynn and made clear that he was not a fan. President Obama himself hired Michael Flynn to be the defense intelligence chief. So President Trump knew of what was going on. And then you have Los Angeles Times. Oh, dang it, I can't read this. This is hilarious. Hold on. The vindication of Michael Flynn. FBI lovebirds Peter Strzok. Nice. Conspired. Don't forget Michael Flynn pleaded guilty twice, the editorial board. The New York Times editorial board. You don't forget that he pleaded guilty twice, okay? He pleaded guilty twice. Yes, anyone would if you set up and frame the person. If you say, well, you know what? We'll go after a family member. Even President Trump has said anyone would plead guilty if the government says, yeah, and we're going to get you on all these charges. They were going after the Justice Department. No, sorry, the FBI was going after his son. So what did you expect Michael Flynn to do? They turned it into a criminal organization. At least with criminals, they're criminals. Law enforcement must not be. There needs to be a line. Don't forget Michael Flynn pleaded guilty twice. Even President Trump has said his former national security advisor lied to the FBI. Who cares if it was a lie that has nothing to an email where he spoke to Mifsud? He should never have been charged with anything, just like Michael Flynn should never have been charged with anything because they did nothing wrong. If you're stopped at the grocery store and you're asked about an email you sent a year ago and you don't remember or you maybe tell a different date, what does that have to do with an investigation at the grocery store or some kind of a crime that you have nothing to do with? He had nothing to do with Russian interference because there was none. The Russians didn't interfere in the election. Not one person altered their vote because of Facebook ads or Twitter bots. And not one person altered their vote because of the corruption that the DNC emails disclosed. If they did, then that's a problem with the DNC, not with knowing. And the ODNI and DHS reports are moderately to highly confident. Even President Trump has said his former national security advisor lied to the FBI. So what? So what? It shouldn't be a crime to lie to the FBI if it has nothing to do with their investigation. He didn't obstruct justice, and that's one of the reasons that he was exonerated. Because whether or not he lied to the FBI, what he was talking about with FBI agents had nothing to do with Trump Russia. Nothing to do with the investigation. They set him up and they try to entrap him, and they literally stated, let's get him to lie so he could then flip and sing. They were investigating President Trump and then going after Michael Flynn under the notion that something could possibly have taken place between Trump and Russia. That's not why you investigate. You investigate because somebody committed a crime. It can be hard to recall since so many members of Trump's inner circle have been indicted. Yeah, they've been indicted because of people who politicized the justice system. You don't go ahead and indict people on crimes that have nothing to do with the initial investigation. convicted of federal crimes and even sent to prison. But the first felon to emerge from this administration was Michael Flynn. Don't you love how now they're the first felon? Oh my goodness, what a felon. Yeah, he lied to Peter Strzok, who was there only to entrap him. What a crime. Oh my goodness. Mr. Flynn, who served less than a month as National Security Advisor before resigning in disgrace, no, he's exonerated. The disgraced officials were Strzok and others who set him up. Prondy! Schiff can literally ride this for the rest of his career. Is there a long-term strategy for dealing with this? Prondy! The strategy is President Trump winning again. President Trump, Prondy, winning again is the end of the road for the Democratic Party and corrupt intelligence officials. Prondy. This is why Clinton and not Biden, and everyone share my Times of Israel article today, Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be nominee. Prondy, this is, okay, the only way for President Trump, John Durham, William Barr to eventually indict people, the only way is to win the election. And the only way to win the election is to vote for President Trump. I'm telling you, everyone, Clinton could possibly win if people don't vote. If people do not vote, and people think that everything's done, and that if people underestimate what's going on, then there's no indictments at all. We say goodbye to William Barr, to John Durham, and then Democrats become even more powerful. Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, who knows? They might even go get back into the FBI. Jimbo! They knew Flynn would go after them. Exactly. This is a man, Jimbo, Prondy, thank you. This is a man who was the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency. And he is a veteran, worked in intelligence his whole life, so he knows what's going on. Prondy, thank you. Jimbo, thank you. Prondy, it's just the election, November. You got to vote. Everyone has to vote. That's it. Jimbo, thank you, Jimbo, as always. Kyle Watts, Flynn, baby. Pick a winning song, any song. Pick a crime, any crime. Pick a crime. Exactly. Pick a song. Pick a crime, any crime. With the Clintons, that's it. Kyle Watts, thank you. Speaking of songs, Axl Rose and Steve Mnuchin got into it. Axl Rose, I really like Guns N' Roses. I liked Axl Rose too, but his was the lamest response. Well, you own the 70,000 lives lost. Like, no, over half are in Democratic Party states of New York, New Jersey, and Michigan. God bless those people. But over half are in 3 states. So Axl Rose does not know his statistics and does not know the information. Then he started talking about the U.S. economy. It's like, well, who wants to open up the economy? And whose flawed projections caused all of this? Kyle Watts, thank you. I don't know if you saw the Axl Rose versus Steve Mnuchin Twitter. It's like, Alan Daniels, H.J. Strongman, keep up the great work. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Brondy. Thank you, Alan. Very greatly appreciated. Alan Daniels, thank you for watching. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Mr. Flynn, who served less than a month as National Security Advisor before resigning in disgrace. He didn't just resign in disgrace, New York Times. Pleaded guilty in December to lying to FBI investigators about his communications with the Russian ambassador. His communications with the Russian ambassador were 100% legal. So you can't lie about something that's 100% legal, even if he told them something that wasn't accurate. TXP, Zapper 77, thank you. Texas Attorney General Abbott said no more arresting folks for breaking quarantine. God bless Texas and H.A. Goodman. God bless Texas. Thank you. We're gonna emerge from this, and guess who in November? They don't realize this. The average voter, TXP, and everybody here, the average voter. We know who's trying to tank the economy. It's not for people's health. We know if over 3 million voted in person. Over 3 million people voted in person for the Democratic primaries, and they didn't care. We know what's going on. We know exactly. Even Democrats know exactly what's going on. And if they think, this is the funny thing, TXP and everybody else, they think, for example, that it's Trump's America. This is Trump's America. It's like, no. We know. You know, like when Dikembe Mutombo would just completely, block anyone who wanted to go up for a dunk or a layup. It's like, no. We know who is the side. We know which side wants to keep everything shut down for political purposes, because when it came to politics, they voted 3 million plus in person. We know which side wants to open up the economy. We know which side wants to enact draconian policies. All those people trying to go to the beach and live their lives, they're voting for Trump. Even the people who are trying to live life normally, like most Americans, are voting for President Trump. This crisis, there is an unseen, silent majority of people that didn't like Trump before this crisis and suddenly say, you know what? The people who are preventing me from living my life, I might not like Trump, but those people are against Trump. So they're either not going to vote in November or they'll vote for President Trump. They have completely miscalculated. But here, when asked about the plea at the time, Mr. Trump said, I had to fire Michael Flynn because he lied to the vice president and the FBI. First of all, lying to the vice president, Pence, is irrelevant. And if Trump said that in 2017, that doesn't, it's funny. Whenever Trump says something that they agree with, they don't say he's lying. But if he goes ahead and says something they agree with, suddenly he's quoted. And first of all, he didn't have all the facts. There's no way that he would have known that Michael Flynn would lie to the FBI, because the only way we know is the 302s. We are relying on FBI notes that were already tampered with and altered or politicized by the FBI. That was true, of course. Mr. Flynn did lie. Who cares? It wasn't about the Russia investigation. And they couldn't they wanted people. They indicted people under the notion that they would flip and sing about something that never happened. Trump never worked with Russia. It was a dossier that Clinton purchased. Clinton purchased a dossier. The DNC purchased a compilation of nonsense. They set up and framed people. Notice how Democrats don't like law enforcement usually, but only like law enforcement when it promotes their setup of Trump. That was true, of course. Mr. Flynn did lie, as he admitted to under oath in court of law twice. They set him up and framed him. There's nothing that he could do at that point. He told investigators falsely that he had not communicated with Sergei Kislyak. Who cares? What does that have to do with the Russia investigation? Sergei Kislyak is not a Russian operative. The Russian ambassador of the United States about possible changing the American U.S. foreign policy towards Russia even before Trump took office. So what? President Obama came in with a Russian reset. So what? Last year, Mr. Flynn asked federal judges to throw out his conviction because he claimed the prosecutors and the FBI agents in this case had engaged in misconduct. The judge rejected his request. Yeah, because the judge didn't have the information. They didn't have the recent documents. TXP. It's TX as in... These Democrat strongholds are crapping. Exactly. The Bill of Rights, they will be serious. Well, I hope not, but they are totally taking a giant poop. A gigantic poop. TXP, thank you. TXP, thank you. Yeah. They just want to see these, okay, governments. There are two reasons why Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, hello. The two best moderators in all of YouTube, Eric H526, Luke St. Martin. Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you. Okay, the judge rejected his request, finding that the agents, the New York Times is like the It's like the teacher's pet. Like, I just want to let you know, Mr. So-and-so, that Bobby was looking in his notes during the test, okay? I just, you know what, it was 5 minutes ago. I took a video of it, and I have pictures from a spy camera that I have, and I kind of like the U2 spy plane that Gary Powers. I had this little tiny drone that I set up in class. I have aerial pictures of him cheating. If you want me to send it to you, I could. I just want to let you know that little Bobby was cheating, okay? They're so petulant. Last year, Mr. Flynn asked the federal judge to throw out his conviction because he claimed the prosecutors and the FBI agents on his case had engaged in misconduct. The case was not even a criminal case because there was nothing that there was. Trump never committed a crime. So they went after him based on a faulty premise. They went after him based on a faulty premise simply to indict people. Missy, hey H.A. Hello, Missy. Thank you so very much. Thank you for always watching. Thank you. Missy, thank you. The judge rejected his request, finding that agents had not entrapped Mr. Flynn because they didn't have the evidence. So, they didn't have the evidence. The judge did not have the evidence. They set him up and framed him, and under the premise of trying to get him to flip and sing, got him on lying about something that didn't have to do with the investigation. Whether he spoke to Sergei Kislyak or not is completely irrelevant. Astrology with Melody! Thank you, Astrology with Melody. Thank you very much. Astrology with Melody, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. The judge rejected his request, finding that the agents had not entrapped Mr. Flynn. The judge did not have the information. They set him up and framed him for the specific purpose of getting him to lie, not for finding out the truth pertaining to Trump-Russia. Because there was no Trump-Russia. Because the whole thing was predicated on a high to moderately confident assessment. Even if the DNC was hacked by Russia, that's not even national security. That doesn't even warrant an investigation. There should never have been an investigation to begin with. The DNC is a private entity. It's not a government agency. It's a private entity. They cheated Bernie Sanders. The DNC emails show that Bernie was cheated. So they view the knowledge we have of their corruption as national security. They view the dissemination of the fact that they were so corrupt, they cheated their own candidate, and they tried to elevate President Trump. That didn't work out. And they did a whole lot of other things. They view that as national security because that would swing the election. But it would only swing the election because human beings are naturally dissuaded from voting for corrupt people. They're naturally averse to corruption. So therefore, if any of this swung the election, the DNC emails, Facebook ads, the average American doesn't want to vote for somebody corrupt, which is why the Democrats lost. And then they say, oh my God, Trump this, Trump that. You have to understand, people are so their minds have been warped with the same thing. Trump evil, Trump bad. And a report by the Justice Department Inspector General found that the Bureau had sufficient evidence to investigate Mr. Flynn. No, the IG did not have the recent documents. The New York Times, what they do is they go back in time and they say, well, the IG found this. The IG didn't have the recent documents and FBI internal memos. Oh, well, the judge said this. The judge didn't have the recent internal memos that we found that President Obama knew. And the FBI agents want to set up and frame Michael Flynn. And that the alleged lie had nothing to do with the investigation. To commit perjury or to lie to the FBI agents, you have to lie about something that is directly related to the investigation. Sergei Kislyak is not directly related to the investigation. Otherwise, there's like 12 other Democrats within the past couple of years that spoke to Sergei Kislyak. The whole thing was a setup. Can you imagine if they went after Clinton's team, the same way they went after President Trump with top secret and special access program intelligence on servers outside of the United States government, running on Microsoft Exchange software, and then logging on to the internet through a cable station, according to ARS Technica, and then losing a laptop in the mail. Literally, the Daily Beast wrote about that. Could you imagine if they went to Justin Cooper and Brian Pagliano and said, "Oh yeah, well if you lied to us. You know, you know what? Nothing wrong with Clinton's servers, but you lied, so we're gonna indict you into flip and sing." Karen Hart. Vote Trump 2020, everyone. We cannot take anything for granted. Thrilled for General Flynn. Exactly. Karen Hart, thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. As always, thank you for watching. As always, thank you, Karen. So, yet on Thursday, Mr. Flynn is part of its inquiry into Trump's campaign ties to Russia. Trump's campaign never had ties to Russia in the sense that he was working with Russia for any nefarious purpose. That was made up by intelligence assessments that are moderately to highly confident, that were predicated upon a Steele dossier. Max Sabin, thank you. Yeah. They're now using every single Democratic Party talking point to just, because they know what's coming. President Trump is reversing all of it. It starts with Michael Flynn, and John Durham and William Barr will eventually indict a lot of people, but only after the election. So this election, they ain't going with Biden. Believe me, if you're Comey and McCabe and Strzok and all of them, and you're looking at Biden, you're looking at, like, eventual prison time. Possibly, I would say either getting pardoned or indicted and then possible prison time. Because, or flipping and singing. Because they ain't going with Biden. In a court filing, Mr. Barr said the interview in which Mr. Flynn admitted to lying to authorities, quote, was conducted without any legitimate investigative basis. There was no legitimate reason to go after Flynn. He had nothing to do with any emails, any DNC hack, any Facebook ads. So why would they go after Flynn? Because the Steele dossier has Flynn in there. So they started all of their nonsense because of a dossier purchased by Clinton. They literally invented an investigation because they're so corrupt and there's so many criminal statutes that Madam Secretary broke. They had to invent a crime with Trump. And then they were caught with their pants down because they cheated Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders in all of this is one of the most, he might be a good human being as a person, but he's one of the most cowardly politicians in American history. He is the center of all of this. You do not have all of this without Bernie Sanders. You don't have a new Cold War, all of this nonsense without Bernie Sanders. He did not admit that he was cheated. He could have simply admitted that he was cheated. And he could have simply said, look, the Russians didn't cheat me. Debbie Wasserman Schultz did. But instead, it's too bad that Russia has to cheat Hillary. He parroted the same nonsensical, irrational, absurd intelligence community myths. He parroted that. He didn't have to. He did not have to parrot that. He did not have to parrot the intelligence community myth that says, the Russians, they were so afraid of Hillary because she was on the Committee on Foreign Investment, and the Uranium One officials gave money into the Clinton Foundation, and that means that Putin was very frightened. And then Bill Clinton had a $500,000, $500,000 speaking engagement, and that made Putin very scared and frightened. And then President Obama did nothing to veto the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity to Putin, which petrified the Russians. They were so frightened of the Democrats. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. And then Russia invaded Ukraine, and President Obama did nothing. Absolutely nothing. That was so difficult for That was so frightening for Putin. He was so afraid. To review, Mr. Barr is now saying he cannot prove charges to which Mr. Flynn has twice pleaded guilty in court. This is hilarious. The New York Times is literally using as its the basis for its argument the judge's ruling and President Trump's statement and the IG report. All three did not have the recently uncovered evidence. So why utilize an appeal to these authorities when these authorities didn't have the newly uncovered evidence that he was set up and framed? As for legitimacy and materiality, the FBI was in the middle of a months-long counterintelligence investigation into possible ties between Trump campaign and the Russian government, predicated upon a Steele dossier that was purchased by Clinton, predicated upon a CrowdStrike assessment that was paid for by the Democratic Party, and predicated upon FBI officials that did not like Trump and wanted to stop him. Peter Strzok said, "We'll stop Trump." If you had a local police department saying, we'll get this guy, then the charges would be thrown out of court. So, as for legitimacy and materiality, and also the DNC is a private entity. Its own lawyer stated that. It's not national security. It wouldn't be national security if the RNC was hacked. You think they'd care? You think they'd want a special counsel if Clinton presided over this? Natasha, hello. Hello. Frizan Dossier. Yes, Roger Stone was also, he was. Mr. Flynn was a top aide to that campaign. He lied about speaking with the Russian ambassador in a way that undermined the Obama administration. No, it didn't. He didn't lie about speaking with the Russian ambassador in a way that undermined the Obama administration, which was still in charge at the time. Then they should have gone after him with the Logan Act. But they didn't, did they? They didn't go after Flynn with the Logan Act because they knew it was nonsense. So why even bring this up, New York Times? He had the constitutional right to remain silent, but he chose not to. And then he lied. He chose not to because he didn't know that he was under investigation. Because it was a setup. That's what happens in a setup. People slip. If people get framed, they slip. If you're in the grocery store in the supermarket, and then FBI agents come to you and ask you questions about some kind of criminal endeavor in a state that's 600, 700, 800 miles away from you that you have no knowledge of, and then they ask you about an email that you sent to somebody and you just forgot the date, then you lied to the FBI agents. You're going to jail. You're not going to see your family anymore. Has nothing to do. Flynn had nothing to do with Facebook ads. He had nothing to do with well, they didn't know. Well, they don't have to know anything. They made up and set up and framed Flynn under the pretext that he would flip and sing against Trump. All of these indictments are not about Russian interference. They're about getting people to flip and sing. They're about making people suffer enough to say something bad about Trump, which is what Michael Cohen did. He had the constitutional right to remain silent, but he chose not to, and he lied. Defense lawyers across the country will surely leap at the chance to seek similar concessions on behalf of their clients. Yeah, if the FBI sets them up, for sure. And we're eager to see Mr. Barr apply this standard in thousands of cases where the defendant is not a friend of the president's. Mr. Trump, his original explanation for firing Mr. Flynn notwithstanding, has prompted crowd that his former aide was an innocent man who had been targeted by the Obama administration. He said Thursday in an Oval Office appearance that the official involved in the Russian investigation in the Flynn case were guilty of treason and would pay a big price. It's hard to overstate how dangerous this is. It is a small step from using Justice Department to protect your friends to using it to go after your political enemies. That's exactly what happened under President Obama. He went after his political enemies. In other words, watch out, Joe Biden. Yeah, watch out. This man, Biden, was written about in the Daily Beast in 2014 and written about in the New York Times in 2015 about his illicit ties to Burisma. It is, of course, entirely in character for Mr. Trump, who lavishes praise on autocrats and dictators around the world. Oh, he lavishes praise. Yeah, he's the first president to step foot in North Korea. the first president to begin détente between North and South Korea. Before that, they were saying, oh my God, he's going to bring us to the brink of Armageddon. They're all over the place. And oh, thank you. They're all over the place. They're all over the place because they know they have nothing anymore. They were so gleeful at the demise of an honorable, honest man in General Michael Flynn. They were so gleeful at everyone being charged. Now they know it's all being just torn apart. The Attorney General is supposed to work for the American people. No, it's a personal fixer for the president. Tell that to Attorney General Loretta Lynch, who met with Bill Clinton to speak about golf, Brexit, and grandchildren. Notice how when the New York Times, when something happens against Democrats, it's, oh my God, it's a personal fixer, and oh my. But if President Obama's administration goes up and utilizes that dossier purchased by Clinton, it's just national security. The Attorney General, he provided misleading account of the Mueller investigation findings. No, he didn't. He overrode his own. They didn't even impeach him. They did not impeach President Trump on anything to do with the Mueller probe. So that should tell you about the Mueller probe. They didn't impeach Trump on any crime. He was not impeached on a crime, unlike Bill Clinton. Oh my goodness, what is his? Bill Clinton was impeached on 2 crimes: obstruction of justice and perjury. President Trump was not impeached on a crime. So he overrode his own Attorney General's sentencing for another Mr. Trump crony, Roger Stone, and he assigned new investigators to sniff out misconduct by the Mueller investigation, and he weighs in publicly on purported wrongdoing. Career prosecutors have dedicated their lives to the rule of law. Oh, really? Career prosecutors who have dedicated their lives to the rule of law? How many people are in prison now because career prosecutors have been unethical? Career prosecutors who have dedicated their lives to the rule of law. Oh my God. And oh my God, can you imagine this in November when they get steamrolled by Trump? And it ain't going to be Biden. Career prosecutors who have dedicated their lives to the rule of law and the independent administration of justice are left to wonder, wait a second. I thought the criminal justice system, which I believe in many ways it is, was racist. I believe that, the criminal justice system in many cases throughout the country, throughout history, has been racist. So how can career prosecutors who have dedicated their lives to the rule of law? You mean like Kamala Harris, who bragged about partaking in a certain wonderful experience while listening to Tupac, which is impossible because she was not in college when she was in college prior to Tupac recording albums. But then prosecuting people for partaking in the same substance? Career prosecutors who have dedicated their lives to the rule of law and independent administration of justice are left to wonder what they're supposed to do now. What are we supposed to do now? Michael Flynn is free after FBI agents try to set him up and frame him so he can flip on Trump. What are we going to do now? Shortly before Justice Department fined Brandon Van Grack, prosecutor announced his withdrawal from the case. Oops. So the prosecutor against Flynn announces withdrawal from the case. The good guys won, ladies and gentlemen. God bless Michael Flynn. God bless America. God bless President Trump. This is a dark day in DOJ history. Oh, he's right. Our institutions have withstood corruption and malfeasance at the highest level until now. With William Barr, the right hand of Donald Trump, there's no longer assured. This is so hilarious. This is so hilarious. You're going to see these people. These are the same people that want to keep America closed forever, that want to, they relish every single, indictment of somebody who shouldn't have been indicted. Flynn was set up and framed. There was never, ever, ever, ever a reason. There was never a reason to even investigate, to even to have an interview with Flynn. He was a national security advisor, speaking with FBI agents. He didn't know that they were investigating him. He didn't know they were investigating him. So that's that. He did not know that they were investigating him. And furthermore, they had no reason to investigate him. The reason they did is because he was in the Steele dossier purchased by Clinton. So, ladies and gentlemen, give me your thoughts below. I will be back at around 10 p.m. Pacific tonight. So be here, ladies and gentlemen, about 10:30 Pacific. Be here. And he was told he didn't need counsel. Exactly, Ronald. Thank you for always watching. Yes, exactly. Be here at 10:30. We will have an epic celebration and live stream. Give me your thoughts. Thanks, everybody. Check out my latest article in the Times of Israel. Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be Democratic nominee. That'll be another charade that is finally exposed. Give me your thoughts. Subscribe to Bizarro World Goodman. I might take another day off from Bizarro World Goodman, but subscribe to that new channel and subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. I'll have a great segment later tonight. Jimbo! Brett Cross listens to me every day at work. He loves your show. Thank you, Jimbo! Thank you, Jimbo. Thank you very, 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 very much. Thank you, Jimbo. Thank you. Jimbo, thank you as always. Thank you as always for watching, Jimbo. Thank you as always for watching. Thank you, Jimbo. Thank you very, very much. All right, everyone. Thank you. I'll see you all this evening, a little later on at 10:30 p.m. Pacific, about 10:30 p.m. Pacific. Thanks, everybody.